good evening, good afternoon, good morning. That's the bit I was looking for. Wherever you may be, welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. I hope you can hear me okay. I forgot my headphones, which has got my little microphone on it, but I hope the sound is okay and you can hear me all okay. Episode 70 this evening of the Same Old Arsenal. Clean sheets, they're just for hotels, obviously. Everyone knows that. Well, they're certainly not for the Arsenal anyway. We're partnered with FansBet. As you all know, links are in the description. If you fancy a bet at the weekend, please click the link and go and sign up using our link, which is in the description. If you'd like a nice t-shirt like this one, link also down below in the description. If you buy one, you're helping the fight against cancer, so good on you. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you can by clicking the Patreon link down again, which is in the description. And yeah, you know the drill by now, lads. I'm sure I don't have to keep saying that before every video. So yeah, it's a bit loud, is it? Oh, sorry, that's probably me just shouting. How about if I sit back here a bit? Is that a bit better? Can you still hear me loud and clear? Lee, judges?
I can hear you. I can hear you very well, Craig. Thank you very much.
Yeah, me too.
Good. Okay. Nigel's in the comments. He's keeping everyone up. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm a bit thrown out tonight, lads. I don't know what's going on.
Keeping everybody in tech.
He's keeping he's watching you. He's watching you.
Yeah, he's watching you. Make sure you behave yourselves.
You do it if you want money. What's that then? What's that mean? You do it if you want money.
Not got a clue.
Crystal Palace FC is for life? God, what a life you've got to live. Jesus Christ. Crystal Palace fans coming in the chat now.
Oh, I like Crystal Palace fans. I like Crystal Palace.
I think
gave us him right.
No, I don't. Oh yeah, gave us him right, yeah. Our guest this evening, as always, Mr. Harry, how are you, sir?
Not too bad. I'm a lot more alert than last week, a lot more awake.
Oh yeah.
I'm starting to adjust to this new life.
Starting to adjust to being a daddy.
Yes.
Good.
It's great, but it is demanding. There's no doubt about that. You would know anyway.
No, I wouldn't know. Don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Judges, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I've been really rough like last week. I've been really ill, so I'm glad to say that I'm back on the mend now. So.
Poor baby.
I've had to have days off work, which is something I've not done for a very, very long time. Been bedridden. But I managed to get up to Huddersfield and back, and then but that took it out of me. I've got to say that took it out of me. So I'm back, but I'm back on the mend now. I'm back on the mend.
Good. And somewhere there, lurking in the background, was. How are you, mate?
I've got no crying babies. I've got no illnesses. I'm just a regular, boring bloke, to be honest with you. My biggest worry is going to work, so I'm all right at the moment.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us again, mate. Thanks for stepping in, as you did last week. The comments we got last week from having you on, mate, were very, very good.
Very positive, yeah.
Very positive. Lots of people liked you. Lots of people said we have to get you on more. So
that's very, very nice of them.
Very nice to hear, isn't it?
If they like listening to bollocks, then happy days.
Yeah, well, this is it. This is it. I've been doing it for 4 years.
Yeah, we've been getting away with it.
Yeah, we've been getting away with it, yeah. CPFC is life. You keep advertising your sponsorship if you want money. Well, yeah, but if you'd have listened, if anyone buys a T-shirt, the money goes back to a cancer charity. So perhaps you should just leave and go and watch a Crystal Palace channel or something, yeah? Good man. Anyway, we beat Huddersfield 2-1 at the weekend, a great result. We all know that. We've won the game, 3 points. Always nice to win away from home. But if you have been on Twitter the past few days, the debate seems to be that you can't criticise the performance because we won, that we should be happy that we can't analyse the performance. We should all just go away and wait till next week and not talk about what happened, not talk about the game in Huddersfield, not talk about the tactics, not talk about the good side of the game, which we will get to, I'm sure, and perhaps some negative side to the game, which I'm sure we'll get to. So, Harry, let's start with you, mate. A good result. 3 points, yes. An away win, yes. Keeps us on the hunt for top four. Let's talk about the good bits of the game first. What do you make of it?
Well, yeah, I think the key point is the 3 points, isn't it? I mean, when you're in the race for the top four, given that Chelsea had that game at Manchester City, which at the time we didn't know was going to be such a drubbing, this was a key opportunity for Arsenal to make up some ground, and you hoped that we'd come away with all 3 points and that Chelsea would slip up, and that happened. So it's all about capitalising on those opportunities. As Arsenal, we're not probably the best equipped out of the sides in the race for the top four, given the players we've got and the injury problems we've had this season. So to still be in it is an achievement in itself. I know a lot of people have felt I've been a bit negative lately, and it's just that I want more. It's just that I want to see the best for our team. And, the performance at the weekend wasn't great. We got a goal quite early on, didn't we? I think it was 16 minutes in or something. And then we kind of lost our way a little bit. And then we managed to get a second just before half time. And at that point, you're thinking, great, 2-0 up at half time, away from home, job done, really. Let's keep it tight at the back and hopefully get away with it. I was a little bit disappointed with the performance. The good side, obviously, as I've said, was the result. But the performance wasn't great. But, sometimes that's going to happen. And for me, that comes from changing systems all the time and changing personnel. And we were without Xhaka, we were without Bellerin, as we will be for the season now. There was no Ramsey. Ozil was ill, if you believe that. So, given the circumstances, the main thing was to get out there with all 3 points, and we've done that. So that's the main thing, but it doesn't mean we can't look at the performance and we can't analyse it and we can't look at certain things that maybe we need to improve on going forward. I mean, Unai Emery, even in his post-match interview, spoke about the fact that we couldn't keep a clean sheet. So that's positive, the fact that, we have won the game, but he still wants more. He's still demanding more. And those are the details that you need to look at. To be a top manager, you need to keep wanting more. There's no point in saying, we got all 3 points, forget about how we played, let's move on. That's not the right way to go, and that's not how you progress. So 3 points in the bag, I'm happy. Not an ideal performance, not a great game, I didn't think, from an Arsenal fan's perspective, but we'll take it and we'll move on.
Absolutely. Lee, what did you make of the game? You travelled up there, up to Huddersfield to watch it. I want to ask you another question just before we get your thoughts on the game. Someone told me I saw someone say that it was probably the worst away atmosphere they've ever been to as an Arsenal fan.
Well, I don't know, but to be honest, I went well, so I just sat there and watched the game, So I didn't get into it like I did before. I didn't think it was a great atmosphere there, if I'll be honest. But I think that was down to the game. It was quite a comfortable game. I didn't think we was in any danger of losing it. But listen, I don't believe everything. Don't believe everything you read and hear and all that lot, because I've got to say, while we're on here today, I've kept my powder dry on this. I want to know where the booing come from for Iwobi and Maitland-Niles on Saturday, because where I was, no one booed them.
Same as me.
Nothing. So I don't know where that's come from. And that's quite poor, really, from there. I certainly didn't hear no booing at all from our player. Yes, there's groans when things go, when there's mistakes being made. Of course, there's a bad misplaced pass. But that happens at every ground and to every team. But I didn't hear no booing, so I don't know so much about that. I felt that it was, what can you say? It has to probably go down as probably one of the most comfortable. To be honest, that's twice I've gone there now, and it's been comfortable in both games without being really good games. If I'll be honest, we was always in control, and I felt that even though I thought that if I give Huddersfield a bit of credit, I thought they played some good stuff, but they never really looked like penetrating our weak defence. You know what I mean? So. That's the trouble with those teams. I was speaking to a couple of Huddersfield fans. They said they've got some good football, but they don't score goals, and I think that's why they're in trouble as they are. So I feel from that point of view that that's what it was probably to do with, more about that than the atmosphere and everything there. Say the first half, I didn't think we played really that well, but we're 2-0 up and comfortable. The positives from it, I have to say this, Craig, is that it's becoming a little bit of a annoying, if you like, but every time you see a team sheet now, there's players missing all the time. You know, even at this game here, you know, going up to the game, rumours that Aubameyang didn't travel. There wasn't the rumours that Ozil didn't. And then when you get the team sheet, there's no Ramsey, no Ozil, no Xhaka, no Aubameyang. And then you see them all in training the day before. You know, I know that Xhaka was training, but obviously I think he was training on his own. But he was training. There's no indication of the other three not being there. And then all of a sudden they're not there. And you know, how can a manager get any sort of continuity when he keeps chopping and changing the team? You know, Maitland-Niles, for instance, has been injured, had to come straight back into the team. You know, not an ideal situation for him to come back into. You know, he's been out for a few games, has to come in. And you just think, like, you know, the changes that we're having are incredible. You know, Mkhitaryan, for instance, I thought done well. I think if there's a positive, it was him that come back, hadn't played for, 4 or 5 weeks since the Spurs semi-final, which is, you know, way before Christmas, and he come in and had to play, you know, and done okay. So I feel from that point of view, there are positives from the result, and you know, but I've always said this: these next 3 games, when we play our next game, which is Southampton at home, Manchester United at the same time are playing Liverpool. So again, it is just about getting the 3 points, Craig, and just seeing where that takes us, you know. And if we can go into that Spurs game, I think probably we're going to go into Wembley if it works out probably in 4th place, and then it's really to play for us, you know. So I don't feel that we've got to entertain teams at this moment in time, particularly away from home. It's just about getting the job done, getting the points on the board, and these next 2 games. Listen, I watched Spurs yesterday get outclassed by Leicester, but no one's turning around and saying how poor Spurs were and all that. Like, it's about getting the job done, and that's exactly what they've done. But when Arsenal seem to do it, have a poor performance and win, there's whether it's because we're involved with it, I don't know, but there seems to be loads more criticism. And you know, I've watched Tottenham sneak past Newcastle and at home 1-0, but everybody says, "Oh, that's great team play from them, showing a good side." But when we do it, there seems to be a lot of criticism about. Listen, we've got the 3 points. If we'd have gone up there and won 4-0, everybody would have said it was expected. If we go there and win 2-1, there's going to be criticism. If we'd have gone there and lost, people would have been going mad. So you have to get it in perspective. You know, it was always going to be a difficult game, whatever way you look at it. Got the result, and as Harry said, let's move on from it. I don't think you should really be going it too much. But what is disappointing is that you've got people saying things now about the Arsenal fans that just wasn't true, you know what I mean? Because I didn't hear no booing, and that's disappointing me, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you was up there at the weekend again. You know, Lee's asking where. Do you think people are doing it on purpose? On Twitter and stuff like that?
To be honest with you, mate, I think it's more the way it's worded. There might well have been a few people around, but if there was people doing it, it was I didn't hear others. And like Lee said, I mean, when Iwobi's running down the wing and he puts a cross out of play with his left foot straight behind the goal, like unopposed, people are going to groan. They're not. That's just natural. That happens when players make errors. People naturally get frustrated. That's what football fans do. You're not a robot. You don't just stand there and go, "Mate, that was a fantastic effort. That's so unlucky." Like you're emotional. You want him to do well. You want it to happen. And like when he got subbed off, I mean, I personally, like Lee said, I didn't hear anything around me, and it might well have been an isolated thing, but I think when you read it and you weren't actually at the game, and when you read a tweet or you read a comment about it, it makes it seem like a generalisation, like the whole away end was booing Iwobi as he come off, and it's a disgrace the way we treat our players and all this. I don't think that's the case. I mean, you might hear murmurs, and people do get upset with people who ain't in form. I mean, every time Mustafi goes near the ball, it's like World War III. Like that's just the way it is. Like, I don't think any players are being targeted, and for me in the stadium, yes, there was frustrations. I mean, it really was, in my opinion, quite a dismal performance. But with regards to the Iwobi situation, I didn't really hear a lot myself, mate. To be honest with you,
I don't think he done too bad, to be honest.
He done okay.
Yeah, he done okay, but I don't think he deserves. I think he deserves the abuse he's getting. I really don't.
Do you know what's frustrating, Craig? I'll tell you what's frustrating. I've read a few tweets about it today. You know, if you don't like Iwobi or you criticise Iwobi, you're racist and things like that. You know what I mean?
It's
getting beyond silly now.
That's
you know what I mean? Like,
anyone who said that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just absolutely ridiculous. He's an Arsenal player that I've got a lot of. Like, I forget about his indifferent performance on Saturday. His work rate is second to none. He puts his body on the line, works really, really hard, and I see the frustrations, but if it wasn't, it's like, you know, when you play, if you're not criticised, if he weren't no good, no one would care. Yeah. But it's because they can see that he's got talent.
I mean, I sat here last week. Sorry to interrupt you there now. I sat here last week, didn't I? And I said, I don't get him. Don't understand why he's here and this, that and the other. And then I'm watching Match of the Day then on Saturday night, and Ian Wright says what he said about Alex Iwobi. And I was in bed watching Match of the Day. Oh, Jesus Christ, I feel really bad. You know, I felt quite bad, thinking to myself, Christ, Ian Wright's right.
Yeah, but Craig, it's the way you see it. I mean, right, fair play to him, whatever he's coming out defending, that's his opinion, that's great. But with all due respect, I watched the game and I saw Iwobi drop into a fantastic position for the second goal, and he moved the ball brilliantly, and he was doing what he always does. He gets the ball, he's progressive, he runs. But he weren't always right in what he said. I mean, he runs forward with the ball a lot, but he does play it back a hell of a lot. He does turn around. His decision making in the final third is often dreadful. He had two massive opportunities that he side-footed one at the keeper and Maitland-Niles slotted him in and he put it wide. And these are the frustrating moments that if he can convert that into, like we was talking about last week, he's that close to being brilliant.
Yeah.
But you can't spend your whole time going, yeah, if he does this, he'll be brilliant. Unfortunately, we're Arsenal Football Club. We're trying to compete in one of the strongest leagues in the world. Like, you've got to be ruthless, and we love. Yeah. Everyone wants Iwobi to do well, and everyone can see. And like Lee said, everyone can see it. Everyone can see that Iwobi's strong. He's quick. He can be powerful. He's energetic. He gives his all. He was absolutely shattered when he come off that pitch the other day, and he works so hard, and that's great. But it's just them moments like where he burst through one-on-one. And by the way, he got the ball from deep, played it out, and he just went. Fantastic. Lung-busting run, 60 yards, tired at the end of it, I get that. But you have to score at that level. And that's where the frustrations come from with Alex Iwobi. And he's still only 22. But I just think it's a shame that he's been relied on from the age of 19.
Yeah.
And it's been a reliance. He hasn't been allowed to develop at Arsenal Football Club. He hasn't...
Yeah.
And he's always, we need goals from him now. We need assists. We need goals. We need end product now to finish in the top four. And unfortunately, that's been the scenario for the last few years. And with respect to him, he could have done with being out of the limelight a little more and learning and enjoying himself and getting the goals and getting back into that sort of way of things. And unfortunately, because he's relied on, maybe the pressure's higher and the fans get more frustrated with scenarios. But I don't think he gets criticism, but so does every player. I mean, what is fair criticism these days? You know what I mean? It's just people's opinions, and everything's amplified now by social media and everything like that. But yeah, he's a good young lad, and he's still learning his trade. And for me, he's definitely got a place in the squad. But again, I'd like to see Denis Suarez starting to bring Iwobi into games, let him then impact him, because when he's done that this season, he's been phenomenal off the bench, and his end product has actually been far better when he's coming into games, and I think it's not so much a reliance on him, if you know what I mean.
I think that's the key point. It's the reliance thing. And I think that's the case with a few players. And I think that's starting to happen with Matteo Guendouzi a little bit. We're relying on him every week to deliver in the centre of the park. And he's just not going to do that because he's 19 years old. And like was said, those players should be coming in and out of the team to impact games, to gain their experience. But that ultimately stems from the club being unwilling to go and put their hands in their pockets and bring in top players in those positions. You know, we're relying on kids again to pull us through. And, you know, I've always said this on this show, the hardest thing to get out of a young player is consistency. And someone like Alex Iwobi, Lee's point was spot on as well. We can all see that he's got the talent. We can all see that he can dribble and beat people. And then he'll miss a good chance or he'll do something brilliant and the next minute it's awful. And that's the frustration. The word that you're looking for is frustration. It's not anger towards him. It's not disappointment. It's frustration, because 1 minute you're watching this fantastic player dribble his way out of a corner and beat 3 men, and then he gets to the final man and he sort of turns back and plays it backwards because it's like he runs out of ideas. And I think that a lot of that comes from a lack of confidence. And I feel like Iwobi's maybe one of those players that needs his manager to put his arm around him and really support him. I think Unai Emery's done that, to be fair, because Iwobi has improved from last season. So I think Unai Emery has done that well with someone like Alex Iwobi. I think he's done it well with someone like Guendouzi. He seems to be putting a lot of faith in these youngsters. But equally, you could say that from the other point of view, there's players that maybe he hasn't managed so well. And as a result, we're seeing a bit of an imbalance in the squad.
Lee?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that, when you've got the younger players, and I think you've also got, which, Torella was 23 today, so he's the same age as Iwobi, or just slightly a bit older, and people don't look at him as a young player, and I feel that he's just starting to struggle a little bit. I think that was one of his worst games that he had on Saturday. You know what I mean? But because it's him and all that, there's like no one's going to have anything to say about him. But it just seems to be, for me, a lot to say about Iwobi, and I don't really get that. You know what I mean? So he's had an indifferent game on Saturday, and I just think that maybe we don't need to say that. Mkhitaryan missed a very, very good chance on Saturday, but nothing said. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems that whatever Iwobi does, it's highlighted. And I don't know why, if it's an agenda or it's a thing because he's one of our own players. Somebody said because, on Twitter today, it was because he chose Nigeria instead of England. You know what I mean? And that's why people want to criticise him and all that. And I don't think it's that neither. I think that, I don't care whether he plays for Nigeria, England, or wherever. He's an Arsenal player, and I just think that he's got ability. But what is the frustrating thing about him is he went through a one-on-one situation on Saturday. It was right in front of us, and he's got to 6 yards out, 7, 8 yards it probably was, and realistically he should be drilling it in, and he's back past it to the goalkeeper, But the fact of the matter is, against a decent side, you know what I mean, they go up the other end and score. And then you when we should have been 3-1, it could be 2-2 or something like that. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem that the Arsenal fans have got. And he has got to get that ruthless side into his game. Now, somebody said to me on Saturday that he'd scored loads of goals when he was in the youth teams and all that. So he's got that ability to do it, And I just think that, I think he's getting unfairly treated. And Ian Wright was saying the other day he's getting abused or whatever, you know what I mean? He's certainly not getting abused at games. I don't see that. You know what I mean? I see him maybe get criticised a little bit, but when he came off on Saturday, where I was standing, they were singing his name as he come off. So I don't get all of that. You know what I mean? I think he is getting the support from the fans, and I just hope that he does turn it around. But the other side of it is, from an Arsenal point of view, I'm used to wide players over the last few years of top quality. You know what I mean? Going back to Anders Limpar when he was about, you know what I mean, like Brian Marwood. Before that, you're going into like the Robert Perez's, the Freddie Lundbergs of this world. You know what I mean? We've had good wide players all through our time, and he's got to, as an Arsenal player, you've got to. There's a standard. There's a standard set by generations going through, and you've got to set that. You've got to maintain it, because if this is not. No disrespect to, I'm going to say it, Crystal Palace. You know what I mean? Like, this is this is Arsenal Football Club. This is one of the biggest clubs in the country, and you've got to perform and be like at a level to be playing at Arsenal. Now, to get through the academy and get through into the Arsenal first team, you've got to be saying special grade. I don't give a much what anybody says. You know what I mean? So he has obviously got the ability. It's the same, and I'll go on to Maitland Niles now. You know what I mean? Like, I think that this kid's been given a right raw deal, that he's being played out of position every week, but he still puts in a good performance. And another guy that that's working really hard, doing a job for the team. I thought again on on Saturday. He done okay, but you're not going to see the best of him unless he's in his proper position. But, you know, these are two guys that have broke through to the team. Should they be playing week in, week out, along with Guendouzi? That's up to debate. That is a debate. But
at the moment, they've got Udo.
Yeah, but and you know, I wouldn't leave Guendouzi out the side at this moment in time, if I'll be honest. But you know, this is the key now. Is that I think with Arsenal, Craig, and it doesn't help these players, whether it be Iwobi, Guendouzi, or whoever, that week in, week out, we're playing different teams every week. Play the same 11 week in, week out from now to the end of the season. And if you've got injuries, then so be it. But you have a look at Manchester City, even Manchester United now, that the core of the side stays the same. Maybe one or two changes, but the core of the side, our team's not having that, and that's the problem we've got at the moment. We've got to start getting a little bit of continuity going. The
manager has been unlucky with that, though, mate. Hasn't he? He's been unlucky.
So yeah, injuries have not helped, and illness. But Craig, Man City players are never ill, are they? You know what I mean? Title-winning teams. You know, Vieira. When was he ever ill?
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying, mate. I know what you're saying. It's so frustrating. I mean, I come back. I bring Woz back in there now. Woz, we see the team sheet on Saturday, and we see again no Mesut Ozil. I put a tweet out saying this is probably the mouse that tips the seesaw for Mesut Ozil. I don't think we'll see him in an Arsenal shirt again. What do you reckon about Mesut Ozil not being in the team again?
I think he starts on Thursday, to be honest with you, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah. At the end of the day, Emery, for whatever reason, whatever's going on behind the scenes, whatever we don't know, he doesn't fancy him. And that's fine. That's his opinion. I just feel that he should be utilising him, should be playing him till the end of the season, until he can then get his own man in to do what he wants him to do. Because let's not bat around the bush. Mesut Ozil is definitely one of the best players in our squad.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't care what anyone says about him.
I agree.
Hands down, that's clear as day. But Aubameyang was ill as well. So
was Ozil ill? Is that why he wasn't there? Because
he was out of the squad with illness, the same illness as Aubameyang. Apparently, they were both out.
And Ramsey as well.
I think Ramsey had a groin injury or something to do with his groin. I think a slight strain. But I mean, something's not right. We know that. We've seen that all season. He's reluctant to play him. I mean, I just think that we can't. We keep getting hung up about Mesut Ozil, but I think we should be using him regardless of what Emery seems to think the squad's going to be next season. I think he should be playing because he will bring out the best of us. And if he don't bring out the best of us, he at least brings out some creativity and something different to what we have at the moment. But I mean, I know we've spoke about the game a bit, but I'm not as I weren't as sort of happy to just brush it under the carpet as one of them performances as the other boys, to be honest with you. Because I just felt that we've seen this performance at West Ham, at Palace, at Brighton, and at Southampton. It's a recurring theme, and realistically, Huddersfield, 11 points when they got 11 points this season, hadn't scored a goal in 8 hours. They had majority of the ball. Our two centre mids only made 40 passes in the whole game combined. Our two central midfielders for Arsenal playing against Huddersfield. It was I thought it was a gutless performance. I felt we had no shape whatsoever. But I mean, it's no doubt that every player pretty much under the sun in that game is getting stick, because it was just a mishmash of nothingness. And thankfully, Huddersfield are terrible, because if we played anywhere near our level, we could have won that game 6-0 anyway with the players we had missing. So again, yes, happy days, mate.
You're definitely right, because I'm sitting here and I was watching the game and I'm thinking to myself, Christ, if we were playing someone now that had a bit of a strike, a bit of a midfield,
mate, yeah,
honestly, and they
had chances.
Yeah.
They did have chances, but we can brush that off. And when you're winning, when we was on that unbeaten run and we're nicking these games, we're going, yeah, that's all right. It don't really matter. I mean, we're in good form. You have them off days, but when you look back and you look at our away form recently and you look at the results, and yes, we've had injuries and we're still not sort of sure of our team, but it's the recurring theme of performances, like I said, in them games, and it's been since Palace away, it's almost been a constant, and that's the worrying sign for me. I think we more got away with it against Huddersfield rather than dealt with it, if you know what I mean. I just weren't comfortable with it, and I look at the next two at home. hopefully Dennis Suarez has got his fitness up. He can be back in. Mesut and Aubameyang will be back available. Maybe Ramsey and Xhaka will be fit again, and we'll have more of a depth of a squad to deal with. And these 2 games against Barté and the 2 home games, like we were saying last week, get them 5 games in a row won. Go into Wembley and hopefully we turn up with a performance. But again, no clean sheet and their first goal in 8 hours of football or whatever. And it was all a bit, I don't know. I just felt, it was like Lee said, it was a nothingness of a game. It was a weird atmosphere, and it was just sort of get out of there, it's done. But it was almost an acceptance that we're actually not very good at the moment, and we just sort of got through it. So I'm just hoping in these next 4 games we're rocking and rolling going into Spurs, because if we perform anything like that, we'll get turned over big time.
Yeah, I think that's right. And to be honest, in terms of the performance, I know I said at the beginning, like, we move on and stuff, but I feel like I've been beating the same drum for months now about Unai Emery's team and the performances that we've been seeing. And I've kind of got to the point where I'm just like, yes, I keep seeing this and I'm disappointed, but we are within touching distance of the top 4, which is where I thought we should be at the beginning of the season. I thought, well, in fact, actually, I thought we'd be worse off than we are now. So, you know, when you look at the overall picture, sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the details and maybe feel a little bit down about something. That's kind of the realization that I've come to throughout this week. I think the performances aren't great, but we're still in with a shout. So for now, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Going back to Craig's original question about Mesut Ozil, just one point I want to make on that before we move on.
Here we go.
What's that, sorry?
Here we go.
If ever there was an example of a manager coming into a club that were underperforming and putting his arm around their star man who was out of form, out of favour, getting the best out of him and seeing their form go up, it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer going into Manchester United and putting his arm around Paul Pogba. That guy at the moment is probably the best central midfield player in the world based on the last few performances I've seen of him. He's been phenomenal. Solskjaer, similar situation, went into a club underperforming. The manager was that sort of had a disagreement with Pogba, the previous manager. In this instance, though, it's Emery that's kind of fallen out with Ozil. But it just goes to show that if you can build your team around your best players, put your arm around them, release the shackles. You know, he's been playing Matic and Herrera to give Pogba that freedom that he needs. Then it benefits you, and it's much more beneficial than relying on an Alex Iwobi. Or, you know, I thought Mkhitaryan played quite well at the weekend.
Yeah, he did.
But he doesn't do it every week. So you're kind of putting your faith in the wrong places at the moment. That's just how I feel with Emery's selections.
Can I just get up? But why are we not getting these performances at this moment in time away from our moment? Why is Emery not putting his arm around Mesut Ozil? Because how I say is the last game that Mesut Ozil played, he's captain. So, you know, is there a major falling out with him or what? I don't get that. If you don't really like someone, you know what I mean? Like, I go back to when George Graham didn't like Charlie Nicholas. The last thing he would have done was made him captain. You know what I mean? But he seems to give him the captaincy. Now, is it Emery's fault that Mesut Ozil's not available this week, or is it, or what is the actual case? No one, you know, and that's the problem that I've got. You know, it seems like that Emery, you're dead right what you're saying there. He puts a real arm around Iwobi and trying to get the best out of him. But would you be more beneficial doing that to Mesut Ozil and getting the best out of him?
You know, but we don't know. I can guarantee you, I would think that Emery has put his arm around Mesut Ozil. But I don't. I think it's Mesut Ozil that's not. You know, from what I mean, that training ground video. Take what you want from it. A lot of people, you know, are going to tell me, "Oh, you shouldn't be looking at that too much." But it was awful.
But
we don't need to see it on a training pitch. He does it on the pitch, Harry.
Yeah, but if
he does it while he's playing, if he gets knocked off the ball, his body language is all wrong. He don't care. You know, he wants too much time on the ball. Don't get me wrong, he's quality. But I just want him. With Mesut Ozil, I just want to grab him round the scruff of the neck and just say to him, "What is it? What is going on? Why can't you just play?"
He is what he is. Mesut Ozil is the player that he is, and 3-4 weeks ago, sorry, maybe longer, before Solskjaer come in, we were talking about Pogba not tracking back, not defending. Well, that's not his game. So you need to build your team around your quality to get the best out of it. It's like me giving you a Porsche to drive and you driving at 10 miles an hour. You're not getting the maximum out of that car. So what's the point in having it? You might as well buy a smart car. Like we're not getting the maximum out of the tools we've got. And I would have thought that as a new manager going into a club where you need results quickly because you need to go get in the top 4. And at the end of the day, Emery's only on a 2-year contract, so he has to achieve it quickly. That would have been the safer route to go down, would have been to put your arm around those players and do that. Now, Lee made a good point about the captaincy and about him giving it to Ozil, and he can't dislike him if he makes him the captain. I get that. But that just make the whole thing about leaving him out all the time just makes it even more baffling that he gives him the captain's armband.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think here we're talking about a manager that doesn't really value the captaincy. This is a manager who came out at the start of the season and told everybody that he's got 5 captains. Well, to me, it doesn't work like that. You have a club captain. You have a captain of your team. You have a deputy. And, you know, you pass it down based on availability. But you don't come out and name 5 captains. To me, that says you don't really put emphasis on that one man wearing the armband. So I kind of think that that's not that big a factor.
I also want to say about Mesut Ozil, going on about, I watched Spurs yesterday. I watched Ericsson do absolutely nothing yesterday in a game against Leicester.
The Spurs were terrible yesterday.
But he scores.
They were terrible.
And I go into work today, and all the Spurs fans are saying, "Oh, look at Ericsson! What a great goal he got yesterday." And I said, "That's all he's done." But Mesut Ozil might do one great thing in a game, and it ain't enough. It's not enough for the press. It's not enough for the fans. It's not enough for everybody. You know what I mean? And I just think, that's what baffles me a little bit about Mesut Ozil. And listen, we're in a stage at this moment in time where, and this is why I think that maybe Iwobi is getting a lot of stick, because you've got a lot of the Mesut Ozil fans saying, well, hold on a minute, how come he's playing week in, week out and not doing it, bit hit and miss, if you like, and Mesut Ozil is surely a better player and deserves to have those sort of chances. So I think that's where that may be coming from as well.
There's people in the comment section now saying, "Oh, here comes the Mesut Ozil bashing." I'm not bashing Mesut Ozil. Mesut Ozil just frustrates the hell out of me. And if that's bashing him, call it bashing him. But I just want Mesut Ozil to be the Mesut Ozil we all know he can be. I want Mesut Ozil to be the Mesut Ozil against Leicester, against Brighton. That Mesut Ozil. Or the Mesut Ozil.
How can he be that Ozil on the bench?
Can't. And also, one thing I would jump on there, in the Leicester game, we're on a good run. And by the way, he was involved in the Everton games, the Watford games, even against Liverpool. Mesut Ozil was very good in the home game. He created chances for Lacazette. We put a few on the plate, which we were unlucky with. But we had a balance then. We were playing in a certain way. We were playing 4-2-3-1 for the majority of the games.
Well, why are we not doing that no more then?
This is what really baffles me. I mean, ever since we've had them injuries, it's almost as if Emery's gone into. It's like he's pressed this little red button on his desk and gone into a bomb shelter, and he's just dropped so deep in, and he thinks, right, we need to get the points. I just forget how we play, forget what we're doing. I've just got to try and look at the game and get the points, and it's not sustainable. It'll work against crap like Huddersfield, but West Ham got at us. I mean, and I'll keep alluding to these games, but Southampton were their new manager, and I actually even felt, even when we went up to Old Trafford, they were there for the taking. Jose Mourinho was in bits games before being sacked. They were terrible on the night, and we just played within ourselves. We're playing in a shell, and it's almost like this whole 5 at the back he's overcompensating. He's thinking, I can't get a clean sheet. I need more defenders. But I just think we're better with, you play the shape and you defend better as a team. I mean, it's not like a numbers game. I mean, I'm not telling Emery how to manage. Bloody hell, I know nothing about football. It's just my opinion. But I just think if you have a balanced team and you players know where they're going, and you had Xhaka and Torreira sat in front of the back four, and the fullbacks were getting up and they were covering in wide, and there was links between the wingers. You had Mkhitaryan and Iwobi and all these players, and Ozil and Ramsey. There was combinations, and we could see a pattern of play on the football pitch. And just that Huddersfield game, I didn't see one move. Well, there's probably 1 or 2 moves in 90 minutes from Arsenal where you looked at it and you was like, well, yeah, they've been working on that. You can see what they're trying to implement there. The rest of it was just and it's not a one-off game. So again, we keep talking about the injuries and all that, but we all keep saying it on here. We just want the continuity. We want the team to get back together in a certain way of playing, and then you will start seeing the best out of other players like Iwobi and even Maitland-Niles. I feel for him. It's difficult in playing out on the right and all this, and yes, he does make mistakes, and yes, he did have good moments, but I just feel in a balanced team, everything becomes so much easier. It really does become so much easier. So I keep saying, hopefully now with all the players back, he does it. And I was saying that last week, and it turns out we had about 58 players disappear off the team sheet. You know what I mean? So if we're going into this Barté game and we've got a weekend off, and hopefully by the time we got through the following two games, and we got them two league games, we've got a full fit squad, we've got a full bench available. And I mean, by the way, when everyone's back and you're adding in Ozil, Ramsey, Aubameyang and Suarez, I mean, them four players there, if you put them involved, your bench suddenly becomes very strong. Yeah. And it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. And bringing someone like Iwobi on, if Aubameyang and Lacazette are on the bench, one or the other, you're changing the game. That's what Emery was doing really well earlier on in the season, when he was making that impact in games. Yeah. And that's where it's a shame we lost Wells, because we was utilising the physicality, bringing them on, changing it. And Emery I was like, yes, I love that, Emery. You can see what's wrong. You're wearing them down. You've got a game plan, and you've executed it. And now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you all right, mate? Are you actually all right? Like, what's happening in there? Like, what's gone on? So I'm just praying that we got this nice weekend without a game, and we just regroup. Everyone gets back together, get fit, and then we push on.
Yeah, was he spot on in the sense that I think Emery got a few bad results, and then he kind of pressed the panic button, and it's like every week it's like, shit, what do I do? You know, we haven't picked up a result, and I need to change it. And that disappointed me the most, because it felt like he's kind of abandoned what he started to implement. It feels like he started to go somewhere, started to find a system, a way of playing, insisting on playing from the back, etc., etc. And then it feels like certain elements of his style he's abandoned in a desperation to get results. And that's a little bit disappointing. It was made the point last week, I think, as well, about the partnerships. I mean, Xhaka and Torreira was working so well, and then you start taking one of them out and putting Guendouzi in, and you start and I'm not saying that Guendouzi's a bad player, but you've disrupted the partnerships that were working so well in this team. And the overcompensating for defenders, it drives me mad. You know, I remember a game a few months back where we only had one fit centre-back, yet we played with three centre-backs in the team. You know, we played with a back three. You can't do that when you don't have the players. You're just overcompensating, trying to plug gaps with the wrong players, and that ends up being worse, and it ends up blowing up in your face. So for me, that's the main reason why these performances have dipped. Look, we got the result. I said it at the top of the show. I'm not going to spend ages crying about it and worrying about it, because we did get the 3 points this time around. But if we don't address these things, we're not going to progress. We're not going to develop. And for me, our top four hopes are not looking great at the moment, just because, Man United have hit a bit of form, and they're my main concern at the minute.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to you all in the comment section. Some great conversation going on there. How many people we got live? 125 people watching us live, and we also just have a Manchester City fan in the chat. Calls himself David Silver, and he says, "You're a banter club. So glad I support City." Well, if you want to talk about banter, we'll talk about banter. It wasn't so very long ago, my boy or girl or whatever you want to call yourself, you were playing football in Division 2. Division 2. And I can guarantee you, my boy, that if you hadn't have been taken over, you would probably be back in Division 2. You're only relevant because one of the best rock bands, in my opinion, in the world support you. That being Oasis. If Liam Gallagher or Noel Gallagher didn't support you, you'd be irrelevant.
I'll probably still have Sean Goater up front as well.
Or Sean Goater, yeah. I mean, come on, mate. Your best ever player is Georgie Congratzi. I mean, don't come on here and try and banter us off. You've got no history. You've got no history. You've bought everything, and we'll see. when
I'll tell you
Run by
what, Man
fans,
City,
though.
all jokes, they're a very, very good side now. But
They are now.
I have to say, like, a lot of empty seats around Man City as well. Like, you know what I mean? For a club that's going for the title.
Well, they're all
We've also, with the players that they've got, to be able to fill their stadium week in, week out is not to come on there and start bantering Arsenal fans. You know what I mean? Like, you know, let's face it. You know, Everton are a bigger club than Man City, and
Ipswich Town are a bigger club than Man City.
yeah, you know. Well, I don't know about that, but like, you know, the reason that they are is we all know where they are, and for them to be bantering Arsenal fans, it's unbelievable.
Money. Anyway, get your questions.
But thanks for
yeah, but thanks
anyway.
for dropping in. Anyway, yeah, thanks for coming. I mean, banter. I mean, you talk about banter. You're watching an Arsenal podcast. You just beaten Chelsea 6-0, and all you want to do is come on here and banter Arsenal fans in a chat. I mean, have a word with yourself, mate.
Don't forget to give us a like, though.
Yeah, do. Give us a like. Yeah, don't give us a thumbs down. Give us a like. Yeah. Get your questions in. We're going to start off with Woz this week. Woz, do you think Arsenal's midfield... Sorry, wrong one. No. This one's coming from Lee Farrell. Thank you, Lee. Thanks very much for watching, and thanks for your question. Do you think Arsenal's midfield has to do more to help out our defence? Because teams are getting through our midfield so easy. You saw that Saturday versus Huddersfield, and the last few weeks also. It doesn't help when teams are running at our poor defence, and that it only ends one way. We concede because our defenders can't defend.
I think you make a good point there, Lee. And this is my main irk with. I'm not picking on him, but Matteo Guendouzi, he gets bypassed so easily. He's not naturally inclined. He loses spaces. And Lucas Torreira alongside him just looks like he goes from being this monster of a ball-winning midfielder to a kid in a PE lesson. It's like, honestly, it does feel like that to me. And Torreira, he just, like we saw it at the weekend, like I alluded to, we didn't have no control in the middle of that park. And he makes a great point about protecting the defence. And again, it does come down, like I was saying, it's more, rather than individuals, it's more the balance of the team. I get that, but they do get bypassed too easy. He loses track of his man, and Xhaka and Torreira did make a good partnership in there, and they were sat deeper, and we did have a bit of a shape, but they do need to help out. But I think sometimes, all down the years, we've always said it. We've had to go at Ramsey for not protecting. We've had to go at X, Y, and Z for not protecting. But then when you get a player that does sit in front of the back four, he gets pelters as well. Like someone like Xhaka, who don't get me wrong, he's not the greatest defensive player in the world, but he very rarely goes charging up the pitch, and he retains shape, and he takes the ball off the centre backs, and we can progress through the lines then, and then it allows someone like Torreira to be that busy little horrible little boy that no one likes to play against. You know what I mean? He buzzing around hurting everyone, but at the moment it's just like the two in midfield, and I mean when Elneny come on as well, it's almost like a comedy sketch. It's just frustrating that.
I also think though was that with Torreira, his role's changed over the last 5-6 weeks. I don't know if you've noticed that. He seems to be like, instead of just sitting in front of like the back four like he did at the beginning of the season, he now seems to be playing all over the shop. Do you remember Coquelin went that sort of way? Do you remember when Coquelin played there, and all of a sudden he was started coming? I don't want to see Torreira, if I'll be honest, on the edge of our box. I know that he scored against, who was it? I think it was Huddersfield in the home game, didn't he? We won 1-0. But I want to see somebody just sitting in there protecting the back four, whether it be him. Xhaka, I don't think can do that, but Torreira was certainly doing that at the beginning of the season, and now he seems to have changed that.
Well,
Isn't that the manager's job to rein him in though, and say, "Come back and sit in your position"?
I think. Sorry, Harry. I think he feels like he has to do that with. I think he has to take the mantle with Guendouzi alongside him, and I think that Guendouzi's going to come and look for the ball. He's going to want the ball like Xhaka does, but I just feel that. And there's also in front of them, it's almost like there's such a big gap between them two and Lacazette, because Mickey done well actually plugging that, and Iwobi does it at times, but you're missing that link man, that Ramsey or that Ozil or someone who's going to be the link between them two and the strikers. And I just think Torreira is struggling at the moment to cover them distances because it's such. I mean, how many long balls were we playing at the week? It's just we're going from back to front with nothing in between. And when you're asking your two midfielders to cover so much ground, they're going to get played around. They're going to lose spaces. They're going to lose runners. And I just think at the moment they're being asked to do a little too much. And again, that comes back to having that link, which helps with Mkhitaryan being back. And then, as I say, Iwobi does it at times. But really, there's definitely a role for that one player to sit in front of the two and operate sort of like that and allow them to cover smaller distances, work as a partnership, and then actually sit and protect.
I hope that answers your question, Lee. A great answer given by everyone. We have a super chat coming there from Bill. Thank you very much for the donation, mate. People who are watching the stream can see that up there now on the screen. The rest of the boys can't. I can though. But this comes in from Bill. So thank you very much, Bill. Thanks for watching and thanks for the question. Thanks for your donation. It's especially for Lee. Lee, Bill wants to know, should Emery go back to one up front?
Oh, yeah, I think it's a good call. I think a lot of our success over, I know it was a hard thing to say, was when like Aubameyang was coming off the bench and we was like, you know, like last sort of 25 half hour of games to go, he'd come on and really tire them out. When the team was tired, and he'd come on and do the business. I think that I don't think we should be doing that at home. I think that we can work around a team where we can get them two in up front. Whether they're alternative from wide to the middle, that's something that they can look at. But definitely against Tottenham, maybe going with just the one of them up front, and then as was alluded earlier on, that, you know, hopefully try and win the game from the bench. But it's a very difficult one because, you know, if you leave one of them out, people are going to say, oh, he shouldn't be left out, you know. So, and I think there is room for it to turn around and say that. Try and get your best players playing in the team. Now, how do you do that? Do you play a back three so that it can get like 3-5-2? I think that probably our best performance so far this season, we've only done it one, was against Tottenham in the second half. I thought that was outstanding. I don't see why we don't go back to that and persevere with it. Not play it for two games and then change it around again. Say, look, this is the system I'm going to go. Whether that be Aubameyang and Lacazette up front, or not, you know what I mean? Personally, that's the way that I will go. I think that, you know, we've definitely got goals in us with them two. The worrying thing for me is if you take one of them two out, where are we else are we going to get goals from our team?
Yeah.
You know, I feel that there's not that many goals in the team, and with our defence as shaky as it is, I think to win games of football like we had to do against Huddersfield, we're going to have to get 2 goals or more. So for me, I think you've got to find a system that allows them to both be in it.
Hope that answers your question, Bill. Thank you very much, mate. Let's bring this next one up. Harry, we'll go to you with this one. Josh Forever Gunner, thank you for your question, my old mate. And he asks, if Emery gets top 4 with our shambles of a defence, should he be manager of the season?
No, I wouldn't go that far, because I think if you look at someone like the Wolves manager, I think he's doing a fantastic job. I think if Rafa Benitez keeps Newcastle up, he's in with a shout for it. There's, you know, and of course maybe you're going to have Klopp and Guardiola depending on who wins the league. I don't think Emery's deserves the manager of the year for doing it. I think that a lot of people talk about how bad our squad is. It's not actually as bad as people would have you believe. And, you know, going back to like our defence, I think Socrates has done all right since he's come in. I think people are really quick to get on Mustafi's back, me included, at times. But I think, you know, when people were talking about him being sold on in the summer, that goes to show that if we're talking about selling Mustafi, that's because he's the only one with any sell-on value. So he can't be that bloody bad either, can he? I just think that most of Arsenal's defensive problems are down to the system we play and the lack of discipline around the whole team. I think that there is managers out there that can get more out of these individuals. Not to say I want Emery gone, but I don't think Emery has done an amazing job. If we do get the top 4, it's because Aubameyang and Lacazette are firing. And it's as simple as that for me.
Here's a good one, if I can find it. Here it is. It's from Matthew. Thanks for the question, Matthew. What do you think of Steve Bold still being there? Given that the defence is our weakest point, do you think a change in there? Do you think change there would be a good thing, or perhaps even necessary? Good question.
I mean, I'm starting to question if it is actually Steve Bold or it's just like some sort of cardboard cutout that wears shorts that sits there every week, and they just take him from ground to ground and sit him on the bench. I mean, look, Stevie Bold, obviously he's been at the club forever, you know what I mean? And it was, I think it was a good decision from Emery to keep someone from the club involved in his coaching staff. He had to have that link between, and it's a good idea. But we don't know Steve Bold's involvement, really, do we? We're not involved in the training, and we don't see what happens week in, week out. And I'd like to think he does have a big involvement in it, but again, you could get as many coaches in the world as you want in, but unless you're playing a certain way and players are getting in tune to it, it's not going to work, is it? Because you can work on a million different drills, but you have to, at some point, you have to start implementing what you're actually doing, like regularly. And if it costs you errors, then so be it. But you sort of got to see some sort of style to our defensive play. And would another coach bring that in? Maybe not. But you see, it's back to that same word I keep saying, that continuity and that balance of the team. And you might start seeing more. But yeah, you got to love Stevie Bold. You got to love him.
Thank you, Matthew. I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much indeed. This one is from Wilson. Thank you, Wilson, for your question. It's for Lee, but we'll get a quick answer off everyone. Lee, do you think that Arsenal can still finish in the top four and win the Europa League?
Cool. If I'll be honest, I think that we might just miss out on it. If I'll be honest, I think that we'll come close. I think these next two games, I know it sounds silly, are key. If we can get 6 points from these next two games, which in theory we should do, it gives us a great chance. And then the next two games, Tottenham and Manchester United will determine it. Do I think that we'll win the Europa League? I don't think we'll win the Europa League because we're defensively not strong enough. We'll come up against a team that will be too good for us. In that sense, but I don't think it'd be Chelsea, by the way. It'd be someone that will surprise us, that are defensively set up, and we won't be able to break them down. And ultimately, our defence will let us down. That's how I see it. Like it did last season against, realistically in the Europa League last season, we played one decent team in the competition. That was Madrid, and that was when we went out. And I unfortunately think that'll be the scenario again. Might be a bit doom and gloom, but that's what I feel that could happen. But I still think we've got a great chance within the league, and these next two games will be key. And the other side of it in the league form and all that, I look at Chelsea. Chelsea have still got to go away from home to Liverpool. They've still got to go to Manchester United. Manchester United and Chelsea are playing each other this weekend while we've got a real week off. There's little things that can happen that can just keep us going in there. Manchester United have got to go. I think they've got to go to. I think they've got Liverpool and Manchester City still to play. I think they've got them at home, but there's still potentially, games that they could lose. So there's some where we've just got these two. I know it's not probably the way to say it, but the two toughest games that we've got coming up are the beginning of March, Tottenham and Manchester United. And if we can get through those games, we've got a very, very good chance. And if we can just hit a little bit of form, who knows? But I do feel in the Europa League, if we start putting all our eggs into that basket, I'm afraid that we're going to come short in that. I do believe that.
Harry, what do you reckon? Top four in Europa League?
I agree with Lee. I don't think we'll win the Europa League. I think there's better teams in the competition than us. In terms of the Premier League, I think that even if we lose at Spurs and we get beat by United, if we pick up all the points against the lower sides, I think we'll be in with a shout just based on the fact that the other teams have a lot of fixtures to play in and amongst themselves. So that's my only kind of thing that's making me feel a bit positive about it. At the beginning of the season, I didn't think we'd get it. I'm still probably just leaning towards that side, maybe 60% that way. Maybe we won't make it, but if we get close to it, if we're in there with a shout going into the last few weeks of the season, it'll be progress.
What are you looking at, mate?
I'm the complete opposite to these boys, unfortunately. Yep. I don't think top four. I think losing Hector Bellerin and having no actual right back has killed us for that. Personally, I think we will struggle. I think that really is a major blow. We're getting players back all over the pitch, but I do think when you look at the importance of that role and how Bellerin has performed this season, especially going forward, it's made a huge difference to us. So, I look at games like Burnley away and I look at games like Everton away and I just think, do you know what? It's going to be difficult. My head says no. My heart says we can go on a run again and we've got players back, but I just think that right back position is a bit difficult. The plus side is I do think in the Europa League, on our day, we can beat anyone. And I know in the Europa League it's over 2 days, but you look at the Spurs performance, I mean, we comfortably beat Chelsea at home and it could have been more than 2. We have got that in us. And with the players coming back into the squad and the options off the bench, I just do think that we could turn up. And I'm praying that hopefully somewhere along the line, Napoli draw against Chelsea or something like that, 2 other big teams, and we can get our way. And then at the end of the day, if you do make it to the final, it's just 90 minutes of football and maybe 120 minutes, but it's a one-off game. And we all know between us, if the players turn up, then they can do it. But at the moment, there's so much uncertainty and we still don't know our best team. We still ain't got a settled 11. Ramsey's off. We don't know what Ozil's doing. Suarez has just joined the club. We've got injuries. It's all mental at the moment, but that could quite easily calm down in a couple of weeks, win these next 2 league games, and the top 4 could really be on then if we can get a little run. And as Lee said, get through them 2 games, and then the world's your oyster. But we should breeze past Bartain, and hopefully we get a nice draw and see how far we can go, because that could well be our best route if we get lucky with a draw to the Champions League.
Champions League, yeah. Well, I think we can do both. I'm confident we can do both. I think if we get the 2 good results against United and Spurs, I think that will spur us on for the rest of the season, and the rest of the season will come quite easy to us. Beat them 2 and go on a lovely little run, win the Europa League, finish 4th as well. And we'll all. I mean, look. At the end of the day, right? If I offered you, if I offered you at the start of the season to be sitting here tonight, 3 points off the top 4, you'd have all taken my hand off. A point. Sorry, yeah. You would have all taken my hand off.
Absolutely.
So totally. I think exactly. You've got people trying to compare this, that, and the other. I don't want to compare to last year because we had a totally different manager, a totally different management team. I'm just worried about this. I'm worried about what's going on at the moment. I actually think this year I'm a chain. I've been a karma fan. Well, not karma as in karma will get you. Karma as in reduced anxiety, should we say, supporting Arsenal, because I'm happy with the way things are going at the moment. I am. People might think I'm mad, but I am happy with the way things are going. Emery's come in, and he's a point off top 4. All right, his team selections, has brilliantly has said. Some of his team selections have been like, "What are you doing, mate? Hello, what is going on?" He's changed games. Take the Spurs game for example. 2-1 down at half time, all doom and gloom. The team come out and absolutely play Spurs off the pitch. And he done it against a lot of other teams as well. He's changed the way, but then Harry hits it on. Harry knocks it on the head by saying, "Is he panicking because he lost the game after the unbeaten run?" As he started to doubt his tactics. It didn't work against this team, so it means it's not going to work ever again. So he's changing things about. But I think we can finish in the top 4, and I think we can win the Europa League.
I also have to say that with Emery, like Sarri, if you was a Chelsea fan, would you be happy with what's going on there?
Of course you wouldn't. You've just conceded 10 goals in the last 2 games.
Yeah, so from that point of view, I have to say that both Chelsea and Arsenal, the two teams that were out the top four last year, have changed their manager, and you know, all right, they've got to a cup final, Chelsea, and you know, they're still in with a chance of that, but you know, they're making mistakes. Their manager's making mistakes, and one thing that I wouldn't like if I was a Chelsea fan is the stubbornness. You know, to keep playing like Conte out wide right. You know what I mean? I think that with Emery, I still see that he's going down the right path. If you know what I mean, like, you know. So I know injuries and that have restricted him a little bit, but I feel that with Sarri, I think it's a little bit more of a arrogance, if you like, which is keeping him doing what he's doing. I think with Emery, he's sort of been handcuffed a little bit, like.
Well, just before Harry comes in, I'd just like to say that I think Sarri's doing a great job.
Yeah, anyway, fantastic.
Harry?
I was just going to say, this might be unpopular and a bit controversial, but could you not look at it from the other point of view and say that Arsenal are only in with a shout for the top four because Chelsea are going through this transitional period under Sarri and because of the dreadful start to the season that Man United had?
Okay, I'll pick you up on that point, but let's be fair. We've shithoused our way into the top four like this before. Took last game of the season.
That's not our fault, though, is it?
Yeah, I know, but it's not. No,
I'm not saying.
No, but it's not our fault. No, but what I'm saying is, Harry's making a good point. Yes, Chelsea are poor. Manchester United have been poor, but we go take the last two seasons before we dropped out. We were relying on Spurs to lose for us to get in the top four.
But that was papering over the cracks, wasn't it? And that was the whole problem.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, but I think to go from. What am I trying to say? I think to go from going to the last day of the season, getting rid of the manager, and then him coming in, you know, his first year as Arsenal manager. I think it's a tremendous. I think he's doing tremendously well to be a point off the top four. I really do.
Craig, the other thing is that Manchester United should never be where they are. Of all the players that they've got, they should be, you know what I mean, they should be challenging for the title. So realistically, it should be like Manchester City, Liverpool and Manchester United should be far away, really. You know what I mean? Spurs is incredible what they've done. I've got to say that, you know what I mean, because they shouldn't be where they are, but you have to tip your hat off to them. You know, it's a superb thing. No. So, you know, it does come down to what you know. Realistically, that's where we are. Looking for where we are is where we should be. Just getting to that top four. And if Chelsea and Man United, and I still think that it will come back and bite Man United what's gone on in the past, because they've still got some tough games to come along. You know, they've got to go. They've got to play. As I say, I think they've got Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, and us still to play. You know what I mean? So, you know. It's in our hands at the moment, and why it's in our hands, we've got a chance.
What do you reckon, Woz? He's left, I think, is he?
I'm here. Sorry, mate.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
What
you got to say on what we
enlighten me?
Yeah. What you got to say on what we were just saying there? You know, I'm saying Emery's done a great job. If I'd have offered you this, you know, being a point off the top four at the start of the season, you would have taken my hand off, surely. Tottenham are perhaps overachieving. Manchester United underachieving. They should be challenging. What Emery has done, I think he's doing tremendously well.
From our point of view, I think our next appointment, whoever it was going to be, their job, by hook or crook, was to get us back in the Champions League. Simple as that. It doesn't matter how they've done it. Europa League, 4th place. Their job as a manager was to come in and get us back competing into that Champions League, because until we do that, we can't be taken as a serious club. We can't compete for the highest players again. We're going to struggle to attract people, and all these other teams are coming a more attractive proposition, and with the whole money scenario and that. So, am I happy with everything Emery's done this season? No. Am I pissed off with Emery and do I want him gone? No. I just think that I'll judge him clearly. You have to judge him at the end of the season and see how it goes. If we fail to achieve the Champions League and we're not going to back him heavily in the summer, then I'd start to question that, has he got the most out of what he's got at the club? But that's for then. And until then, you are obviously during the games, during the season, you're going to see things. You're going to, as a football fan, you're going to react to it, and you're going to say, "Oh, that's not right," in my opinion, or "Oh, yeah, well done, Emery. I like that." That's just the nature of the game. But at the end of the day, there's very few people who want Emery gone, and there's very few people that think Emery's a god. So it's going to be like that. So if he can achieve top four, bravo, pat on the back, go into the summer, open the checkbook. There you go, son. Knock yourself out. Good luck. If he doesn't achieve top four, then maybe I would ask questions. Sorry, not just top four, or maybe go through the Europa League. I might say, Unai, I do think maybe you could have got more out of this squad this season. I know it was Ramsey's last year at the club, and this with Ozil and all this, the uncertainty all year, but maybe we could have dealt with that better. But we don't know until May, do we? So we're gonna back them. Of course, we're gonna back them. We back all our players, and although there's negativity regarding the performances and that's just part of being a fan. And I mean, it's nothing deep. It's not deep. It's not like people hate people and all this. It's just part of the game. And at the end of the day, we're going to be going to the games till May. We're going to support, get behind them, and hopefully we can get in that top four, get in the Champions League, maybe win the Europa League, and we're back rolling again, and we can hear that little song at the Emirates, and everyone will be smiling again.
Absolutely. Now, the last question I've saved till last, because you always save the best one till last, and this comes in from, I think I'm going to change her name. I'm going to change her name from Karen to Mrs. Same Old Arsenal. Karen, she's here every week. Raining, snowing, windy, sunshine, she's here. And she's in the comments.
What, does she watch from outdoors?
Oh, well, she can have a look out the window. She's always here, and she's been a massive supporter of the podcast. So up comes her question on the screen. We'll start with Lee. It's the best question. With no game this week, what are you doing at the weekend?
What am I doing at the weekend? I ain't doing nothing this weekend. I've got a couple of things on. My mum's taking us out for dinner, so for a Christmas little treat. So I got that. So and one of my friends has not been well, so it's her birthday this weekend as well. So we're going to go out for a meal on the Sunday. So nothing sporting wise this weekend.
No boring cricket matches.
No cricket, no cricket. I'm going rugby in a couple of weeks' time. Have I told you that? England, Italy, and I've got the boxing. I think is it next week?
I don't mind a bit of boxing. Yeah,
James DeGale versus Eubank, which is the following week. So,
you're going to Manchester with your mate Kev? Is it?
No. I'm going down there. So I don't think Kevin would be down for that one. Like he goes to the Manchester boxing, like So I got that. But so it's a sporty week free this weekend.
Oh, Harry, other than changing nappies, what are you going to be doing? Harry?
What was that? Sorry, you cut out there. Say that again.
Oh, sorry. I said, other than changing nappies, what are you going to do this weekend?
Oh, well, I woke up the other day after that windy night and found that 3 of my fence panels are broken. So I need to fix the fence. I should have done it on Sunday, but I couldn't be asked. Just
still
sorting
windy
things.
when it's Sunday as well. It was windy.
Yeah, just sorting things around here. Really, my garden's like a jungle. Hoping it rains a little bit, and then I can get out of doing that. So just bits and pieces around the house and taking it easy, trying to catch up on some sleep.
Listen to me. When you get 3 kids like me, right, you'll be begging for the wind to blow your fence down, and you'll be begging for the grass to grow, so you can get outside to the peace and quiet. Trust me. What are you doing this weekend, mate? No football. What are you going to do?
No football, mate. I'll be extremely alarmed if I'm changing nappies. I'm going to treat myself to working Saturday and Sunday so I can earn some money so I can waste it at the football on stupid amounts of beer as per usual, and I'll probably just take the missus out on Saturday night and we'll have a nice little meal or something.
I'm a football fan, isn't it? Going to work to get beer tokens.
Genuinely, as much as I love my football and that, it really is quite nice sometimes just to
just have a weekend.
I agree.
You know what? Just take a chill out, and I mean, I will admit, I'll still watch the football. Obviously, there's games on and all that, but it's just nice to think I ain't got to be stressed out about anything this weekend. I could just be happy. Like, don't worry about it. You just chill out and enjoy it. So, I mean, chilling out and enjoying it ain't going to work. I know that, but still, it'll be. It's just nice to recuperate and get ready for the weeks coming, mate.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What
are you doing? What are you doing?
What am I doing? Probably separating a 9-year-old and an 8-year-old from arguing. Probably taking Nerf guns to the groin. Took one to the eye the other day. Took it well though. Picking up popcorn after they've watched The Voice. Yeah, and just basically putting everything up high, really, because that's what you do when you've got 3 kids running around the place. Might speak to my wife, depending on how the kids behave. And of course go to work. I suppose I better go to work to pay the internet, so I can keep doing a podcast. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone very much for joining us this evening. It's been another enjoyable podcast, I must admit. Mr. A says, I'm so glad you guys talk about Arsenal, because otherwise you'd be really boring.
I have only become boring this last 3 weeks, mate.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Mr. A, do in the comment section, what are you doing this weekend, mate? Make us jealous, come on. What are you doing? Are you going to a nightclub, renting a table, bottle of Grey Goose, a few birds? What's it like to be young again, eh?
Yeah, those are the days, weren't they?
They were the days. Get a table. Yeah. Oh, Christian says getting into Division 7 on FIFA.
What's he hanging on?
I'm hanging on, mate. I'm 30 this year. I'm hanging on.
How old are you this year?
30 this year, mate.
Get out.
Couple of months in May, so last few months of saying that I can't drink now and not have a hangover anyway, so I've gone, I'm done.
I can't do it anymore. I went to the pub to watch a Liverpool game. It was my birthday. I think I had 4, and I was singing Danny Boy after 3.5. I think. So, don't take me out if I ever come to London. Don't take me out on the razzle dazzle, because I won't last half hour. Thank you very much for watching. It's really, really appreciated. The podcast is going from strength to strength. The views keep going up. The subscribers keep going up. The audio listens are astounding. So thank you very much if you're listening to us on audio as well. I know not everyone likes to watch the videos. Looking at me anyway, I wouldn't blame you. I know a lot of people like to listen to audio when you're out going for your walks and stuff like that. So thank you. Don't think that we don't appreciate you just because you listen on audio, because we do, of course. Appreciate every single one of you coming along here. Thanks to my guest, Woz the Gooner. Thank you very much indeed for joining us again, mate.
Cheers, Woz. Thank you.
Thanks again, guys. Thank you very much for having us.
Pleasure is all ours, mate. Pleasure is all ours. Trust me. Harry, thanks very much for your time. I know you're a busy man. You're probably off to record another podcast now, are you?
No, I've got people coming around tonight, so I'll probably end up doing it at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock tonight. But to be fair, I don't get much sleep, so I might as well stay up and do it. It gives me something to do.
And don't forget, Harry runs his own podcast at Chronicles of Guna. Please look him up on Twitter. Follow him on Twitter, Harry Simeon.
Yeah, that's a good effort.
Great effort.
Very much. You can follow Woz at Woz the Gooner.
I wouldn't.
I would.
I wouldn't either.
I would.
I'm joking.
I would. And you can follow Lee at Lee Mark Judges, the most boring Twitter handle in the history
boring
of Twitter.
As anything like that.
And if you want to, you can follow me, Scotty Boy Gooner. There you go. There's a bit of creativity. Do you know what I mean? My second name's Scott. I'm a boy, and I'm a Gooner. Scotty Boy Gooner. If you want Lee Mark Judges to change his... If this video gets 500 likes on YouTube, Lee will change his hat. What are you saying, Lee?
I don't know. We'll think about it. What
are you saying?
We'll change it.
What will we change it to?
I don't know. We're
a bit more creative.
Yeah, we're doing something more creative.
No, I'm only joking. I wouldn't want to do that. And I saw the panic on his face. What am I going to do? What happens to all my followers? Do they still stay there? Yeah. No, I wouldn't do that to him at all. But yeah, thanks very much. I can keep going on and saying thanks all day long. I could. Karen says, absolutely love this podcast. It's the best one out there. See you at the weekend. See you next week, you lovely lot. Up the Arsenal. What more can we say? Until next time, take care of yourselves. and each other, as Jerry Springer used to say. And when we see you again next week sometime, we'll love you and leave you. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for staying with us. Until next time, up the Arsenal.
Can you Guinness? Ta-da.
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 Lovely.
Lovely.
No, we're still live. Hang on, we're still live. Oh, hang on. Yeah. Ta-da. No, that button.